Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And once again today we are going to be going through the World Cup guide sponsored by the OneFootball app. 8 YouTubers, 8 groups. We are going to be covering all 32 teams. Last week we did Iran. This week on the agenda is the 2010 champions, Spain. And firstly, guys, thank you very, very much for joining me on this Saturday, because I know a lot of you, there's a massive, massive game on today, a huge day in the football calendar. A lot of people's minds right now are on that game. So with that said, guys, it is only fair that I wish both teams the very best of luck. So all my best goes out to Fulham and Aston Villa in the Championship playoff final, which takes place at Wembley. I think the only football match that is on today. So we're going to get on with the video. We are going to talk about Spain, and most importantly, can they once again lift the World Cup in Russia this summer? That's the big question. We're going to be analysing how they got there, how they play, if Lopetegui has got things right in his squad selection, and where exactly Spain's firepower is going to come from. All of that in this video. Let's do this. So first of all, guys, let's look at the way that Spain qualified from their qualifying group to reach the World Cup proper. They qualified really so easily from the European Group G. They won 9 and drew 1 of their 10 qualifying matches, scoring 36 goals in the process. And over the entire qualification period, they only conceded 3 goals. And that one draw only came away to Italy, where they drew 1-1. And that was way now back in October of 2016. Since then, they've well and truly avenged those drop points in the more recent meeting against Italy. That was back in September of 2017, destroying them by 3-0 in Spain. And this was along with wins, home and away against the likes of Albania, Israel, Macedonia, and Liechtenstein, of which they beat 8-0 home and away in qualifying. And obviously as well, it's not all about qualifying, it's about those high-profile friendlies that these teams do play as you get towards these major tournaments. And more recently, they've appeared in 2 big games in friendly matches. They drew 1-1 with Germany back in March, with Rodrigo opening the scoring on the night, and that was thanks to an absolutely glorious Andres Iniesta assist before Thomas Müller equalised later on in the game. And just a few days later from that match, they absolutely dismantled a Messi-less Argentina. That was 6-1 on the night, with Diego Costa, Thiago, Aspas and Isco scoring. 3 goals for Isco on the night, where Spain really did pull away in the second half of that game, showing all the qualities that we're going to be discussing. But look, qualifying isn't everything. Teams can often perform well in qualifying but falter at the actual tournament. We've seen that time and time again. England are a good example, always do well in qualifying, so solid, but they get to a major tournament and everything goes out the window. And exactly the same can be said for friendlies as well. But it's the way that Spain play during that qualifying and also those friendlies that gives Spaniards a lot of confidence, a lot of belief that they can go to the tournament and replicate that kind of form. And if you look at Spain as a team, as individuals, the characters in their team, they have track records of performing in big games. In big tournaments, these guys will step up to the plate. They won't let the pressure bother them. They won't be bogged down by the expectation. They will go onto the biggest stage of all, and they're going to perform. And when you look at those tournaments appearing on the biggest stage of all, you cast your minds back to 2008 with the national team, and that's where the dominant period really began. It was under Luis Aragonés, who was a very instrumental part of that Spain team, really established himself. He laid the foundations as the coach of the Spanish national team. They won the European Championships that year with a 1-0 win over Germany in the final, and that was a tournament where Xavi Hernandez was named as the best player and David Villa finishing as the top scorer, a feat that he would also repeat in just 2 years at the World Cup. And moving then on to the 2010 World Cup, where history was made. Andres Iniesta scoring that dramatic, sensational goal in the final, deep into extra time against the Netherlands, giving Spain their first ever World Cup success. And again, they didn't only win the tournament, they didn't only get over the line, they did it playing that brilliant football, playing that passing style of play, controlling games, that quick thinking, that clever movement. They showed all of that in the run into the game, beating the likes of Germany and Portugal in the lead up to that final. And of course, they did it all with that core of Barcelona players at the very heart of their system. Very similar, of course, to the way that Barca were playing during that dominant period. Spanish football at that time really was ruling, and like it is now, to be perfectly honest. And then we head to 2012, of course, course, where they didn't just beat Italy in the European final in 2012, they absolutely dismantled them. Xavi and Iniesta, Busquets as well, pulling the strings in midfield, controlling things from deep, really did orchestrate that game beautifully. And the latter, of course, Andres Iniesta, he was named player of the tournament for Euro 2012, with Silva, Alba, Torres and Mata all getting on the score sheet in a sensational 4-0 victory. And once again, right throughout the entire tournament, they were dominant, they were rampant, and they were absolutely brilliant to watch. And that is what captured us all with Spain. You might not be Spanish, you might not even support a Spanish team, but still, their players always go out there to perform, they always go out there to put on a show. And I think in Russia, we're going to see the same sort of story. And that victory in 2012 in the Euros really did seal a 4-year stranglehold over international football as far as Spain goes and international trophies. It really was the era of Spain on the international front. But 2 years later, at the World Cup in Brazil in 2014, that was when the alarm bells really just started ringing. And it was Spain, of course, crashing out very, very unexpectedly at the group stage. It included an embarrassing 5-1 defeat at the hands of the Netherlands. They got beat by Chile, and it was a very, very disappointing campaign for Spain that left a lot of questions, really. Is it the end for Vicente Del Bosque? He did last, though, one more tournament, and it was at the Euros 2 years later in France that Spain couldn't find a way past Italy. They couldn't break down Antonio Conte's resolute defensive team, and in the round of 16 stage, it was once again disappointing for Spain and their national team, and this, unfortunately, was the end of the road for Vicente Del Bosque, a man that had given them so much, but a man now who I felt needed a new direction. Spain needed a different kind of influence in their coach, and in some areas of the team, they needed some fresh faces too. And that's exactly why the new man was brought in. Following Del Bosque's retirement from international duty, July 2016, Julen Lopetegui was appointed as the new coach of Spain in the hope that the glory days could return to the national team. And certainly on the face of it, based on the squad they have, the talent that they possess, and the performances that they've shown in qualifying and in their friendly matches, you certainly wouldn't bet against them once again hoisting the World Cup this summer. And now we will take a look at the squad that Lopetegui has selected to appear in Russia this summer. The goalkeepers will be David De Gea, Pepe Reina and Kepa, of course, the athletic goalkeeper, young and very, very talented. The defenders, Alba, Azpilicueta, Carvajal, Nacho, Monreal, Odriozola, Gerard Piqué and Sergio Ramos. Into midfield, look at these midfield options. Isco, Thiago, Busquets, David Silva, Andres Iniesta, Saul Niguez, Koke. What a midfield selection you've got there. Every single one of those midfielders I would put in the world-class category. And then their forward players, Asensio, Aspas, Diego Costa, Rodrigo, Vasquez. They do have quality right throughout their team, right throughout their squad, so much depth. And even then, with the players that he selected, there was a few big decisions to him to make in terms of the players that he was going to leave out. Personally, I would have taken Sergio Roberto. He was left out of the squad. Odriozola, the man from Sociedad, included. He also decided to leave out the likes of Alvaro Morata, Marcos Alonso, Premier League players, Herrera, Fabregas, those kind of players. There is so much depth in Spain, and with that comes expectation. And the biggest question of all right now, can Spain go all the way and win the World Cup? And the answer to that for me is yes. It has to be yes. You have to look at that team and you have to say they've got what it takes. They've got the system, they've got the philosophy there, and most importantly, they have the individual players. You look right throughout their team there. In goal, arguably the best goalkeeper in the world in David De Gea, enjoyed another phenomenal season at Manchester United. They have there a very, very solid goalkeeper. They've got high quality fullbacks playing at the best clubs in the world. Carvajal, Jordi Alba. Do you want any better than that? And the same goes for the very, very experienced centre-back partnership of Piqué and Ramos. They might not always get on so well, but when they play for Spain, they get their heads down, they work hard, and they are a very, very good partnership. And into midfield, like I say, where the options are absolutely astounding. They could literally fill 3 national teams full of the players that they have in those midfield areas who can dictate games and really do incredible things. And then look at the attacking players. They might not even start Spain with a recognised centre forward all the time. They can mix it up, they can play more of those midfield players, but if they do a central striker, Aspas is coming off a phenomenal season. Diego Costa now seems to be finding his feet a bit more with the national team. And then you've got players like Vasquez who will work very, very hard for the team. He's not a selfish player, he will work. And the thing with these Spain players is this goes beyond individuals, because that's the beauty of the Spanish national team. On the pitch, they're a collective unit. It doesn't matter about their quality, it doesn't matter about their reputation, expectation. On the pitch, they're all equals, they're all players one, and they're a team in every sense of the word. They will understand their roles going into this tournament, they'll understand the system. Lopetegui has come in, he's done well, he's instilled the core values once again of being a Spanish player, performing on the biggest stage of all, and doing what they do best, keeping the ball, dictating the tempo, being clinical in the final third, finishing your chances, and defending as a team as well, and pressing really high as well. That's the beauty of it. There's so much energy in this team, there's so much hard work at the same time as all that quality, and with many of these players playing at the very best clubs in the world, they will fully understand what it takes to win, they will understand the expectation, they will rise to that, they won't worry about the pressure, they will get the job done, and in my mind, it is absolutely clear, this Spanish side this summer, they are definitely going to take some stopping. There's no doubt about that. So that is my take on the Spanish national team, guys, and their chances of making this World Cup count and adding to their 2010 glory. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Do you think that Spain can win the World Cup? I think it's definitely possible. You look at their team, and it's very, very difficult to argue against it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Enjoy that game that I mentioned today, and I'll see you soon. But until then, as always, it's the World Cup.